Chapter 1 of Jerry. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Lynn Thompson. Jerry by Jean Webster. Chapter 1. The courtyard of the Hotel du Lac, furnished with half a dozen tables and chairs, a red and green parrot chained to a perch, and a shady little arbor covered with vines, is a pleasant enough place for morning coffee, but decidedly too sunny for afternoon tea. It was close upon 4 of a July day when Gustavo, his inseparable napkin floating from his arm, emerged from the cool dark doorway of the house and scanned the burning vista of tables and chairs. He would never, under ordinary circumstances, have interrupted his siesta for the mere delivery of a letter, but this particular letter was addressed to the young American man, and young American men, as every head waiter knows, are an unreasonably impatient lot. The courtyard was empty, as he might have foreseen, and he was turning with a patient sigh towards the long arbor that led to the lake, when the sound of a rustling paper in the summer house deflected his course. He approached the doorway and looked inside. The young American man, in white flannels with the red guidebook protruding from his pocket, was comfortably stretched in a lounging chair, engaged with a cigarette and a copy of the Paris Herald. He glanced up with a yawn, excusable under the circumstances, but as his eye fell upon the letter he sprang to his feet. "Hello, Gustavo, is that for me?" Gustavo bowed. "Ecco, she is at last arrive, the letter for which you have so much wish." He bowed a second time and presented it. "Meestair Jerymn Hilliard." The young man laughed. "I don't wish to hurt your feelings, Gustavo, but I'm not sure I should answer if my eyes were shut." He picked up the letter, glanced at the address to make sure the name was Jerymn Hilliard Jr. and ripped it open with an exaggerated sigh of relief. Then he glanced up and caught Gustavo's expression. Gustavo came of a romantic race. There was a gleam of sympathetic interest in his eye. "Oh, you needn't look so knowing. I suppose you think this is a love letter. Well, it's not. It is, since you appear to be interested, a letter from my sister, informing me that they will arrive tonight, and that we will pull out for Riva by the first boat tomorrow morning. Not that I want to leave you, Gustavo, but—oh, thunder!" He finished the reading in a frowning silence, while the waiter stood at polite attention, a shade of anxiety in his eye. There was usually anxiety in his eye when it rested on Jerymn Hilliard Jr. One could never foresee what the young man would call for next. Yesterday he had rung the bell and demanded a partner to play lawn tennis, as if the hotel kept partners laid away in drawers like so many sheets. He crumpled up the letter and stuffed it in his pocket. "I say, Gustavo, what do you think of this? They're going to stay in Lucerne till the 10th. That's next week, and they hope I won't mind waiting. It will be nice for me to have a rest. A rest, man! And I've already spent 3 days in Valedolmo." "Si, signore." "You will desire the same room?" was as much as Gustavo thought. "The same room? Oh, I suppose so." He sank back into his chair and plunged his hands into his pockets with an air of somber resignation. The waiter hovered over him, divided between a desire to return to his siesta and a sympathetic interest in the young man's troubles. Never before in the history of his connection with the Hotel du Lac had Gustavo experienced such a munificent, companionable, expansive, entertaining, thoroughly unique and inexplicable guest. Even the fact that he was American scarcely accounted for everything. The young man raised his head and eyed his companion gloomily. "Gustavo, have you a sister?" "A sister?" Gustavo's manner was uncomprehending but patient. "Si, signore. I have 8 sister." "8! Merciful saints, how do you manage to be so cheerful?" "3 is married, signore. 1 other is betrothed. 1 is in a convent, 1 is dead, and 2 is babies." "I see. They're pretty well disposed of, but the babies will grow up, Gustavo, and as for that betrothed one, I should still be a little nervous if I were you. You can never be sure they're going to stay betrothed." I hope she doesn't spend her time chasing over the map of Europe, making appointments with you to meet her in unheard of little mountain villages, where the only approach to Christian reading matter is a Paris Herald 4 days old, and then doesn't turn up to keep her appointments." Gustavo blinked. His supple back achieved another bow. "Thank you," he murmured. "And you don't happen to have an aunt?" "An aunt, signore?" There was vagueness in his tone. "Yes, Gustavo, an aunt, a female relative who reads you like an open book, who sees your faults and skips your virtues, who remembers how dear and good and obliging your father was at your age, who hoped great things for you when you were a baby, who had intended to make you her heir, but has about decided to endow an orphan asylum. Have you, Gustavo, by chance, an aunt?" "Si, signore." "I do not think you grasp my question. An aunt, the sister of your father, or perhaps your mother." A gleam of illumination swept over Gustavo's troubled features. "Ecco! You would know if I have a zia, a aunt. Yes, that is it, a aunt." "Sicuramente, signore. I have 11 aunt." "11 aunts! Before such a tragedy I am speechless. You need say no more, Gustavo. From this moment we are friends." He held out his hand. Gustavo regarded it dazedly. Then, since it seemed to be expected, he gingerly presented his own. The result was a shining, new minted 2 lire piece. He pocketed it with a fresh succession of bows. "Grazie tanto. Has the signore need of anything?" "Have I need of anything?" There was reproach, indignation, disgust in the young man's tone. "How can you ask such a question, Gustavo? Here am I, 3 days in Valedolmo, with 7 more stretching before me. I have plenty of towels and soap and soft boiled eggs, if that is what you mean. But a man's spirit cannot be nourished on soap and soft boiled eggs. What I need is food for the mind, diversion, distraction, amusement. No, Gustavo, you needn't offer me the Paris Herald again. I already know by heart the list of guests in every hotel in Switzerland." "Ah, it is diversion that you wish. Have you seen that ver' beautiful Luini in the chapel of San Bartolomeo? It is 400 years old." "Yes, Gustavo, I have seen the Luini in the chapel of San Bartolomeo. I derived all the pleasure to be got out of it the first afternoon I came." "The garden of Prince Antonio Crivelli? Has the signore seen the cedar of Lebanon in the garden of the prince?" "Yes, Gustavo, the signore has seen the cedar of Lebanon in the garden of the prince, also the ilex tree 200 years old, and the India rubber plant from South America. They are extremely beautiful, but they don't last a week." "Have you swimmed in the lake?" "It is lukewarm, Gustavo." The waiter's eyes roved anxiously. They lighted on the lunette of shimmering water and purple mountains visible at the farther end of the arbor. "There is the view," he suggested humbly. "The view from the water front is considered very beautiful, very nice. Many foreigners come entirely for him. You can see Lago di Garda, Monte Brioni, Monte Baldo, with the ruined castle of the Scaliger, Monte Maggiore, the Altissimo di Nago, the snow-covered peak of Monte—" Mr. Jerymn Hilliard Jr. stopped him with a gesture. "That will do. I read Baedeker myself, and I saw them all the first night I came. You must know at your age, Gustavo, that a man can't enjoy a view by himself. It takes 2 for that sort of thing." "Yes, the truth is that I am lonely. You can see yourself to what straits I am pushed for conversation. If I had your command of language now, I would talk to the German Alpine climbers." An idea flashed over Gustavo's features. "Ah, that is it. Why does not the signore climb mountains? Ver' helpful, ver' diverting. I find guide." "You needn't bother. Your guide would be Italian, and it's too much of a strain to talk to a man all day in dumb show." He folded his arms with a weary sigh. "A week of Valedolmo! An eternity!" Gustavo echoed the sigh. Though he did not entirely comprehend the trouble, still he was of a generously sympathetic nature. "It is a pity," he observed casually, that you are not acquaint with the Signor Americano who lives in Villa Rosa. He also finds Valedolmo undiverting. He comes but often to talk with me. He has fear of forgetting how to speak English, he says." The young man opened his eyes. "What are you talking about? A Signor Americano here in Valedolmo?" "Sicuramente, in that rose-colored villa with the cypress trees and the terrazzo on the lake. His daughter, la Signorina Constantina, she live with him. Very young, very beautiful." Gustavo rolled his eyes and clasped his hands. "Beautiful like the angels in paradise. And she speak Italia like I speak English." Jermyn Hilliard Jr. unfolded his arms and sat up alertly. "You mean to tell me that you had an American family up your sleeve all this time and never said a word about it?" His tone was stern. "Scusi, signore, I have not known that you have the pleasure of their acquaintance." "The pleasure of their acquaintance? Good heavens, Gustavo! When one shipwrecked man meets another shipwrecked man on a desert island, must they be introduced before they can speak?" "Si, signore." "And why, may I ask, should an intelligent American family be living in Valedolmo?" "I do not know, signore. I have heard the Signor Papa's health was not good, and the doctors in Amerique say to him, 'You need change, to breathe the beautiful climate of Italia.' And he say, 'All right, I go to Valedolmo.' It is small, signore, but ver famosa. Oh yes, molto famosa. In the autumn and the spring foreigners come from all the world, English, French, German, tutti. The Hotel du Lac is full. Every day we turn peoples away." "So I seem to have struck the wrong season. But about this American family, what's their name?" "La Familia Wilder, from Nuovo York." "Wilder." He shook his head. "That's not American, Gustavo, at least when you say it. But never mind, if they come from New York it's all right. How many are there? Just two?" "But no, the papa and the signorina and the—" he rolled his eyes in search of the word. "The aunt." "Another aunt! The sky appears to be raining aunts to day. What does she do for amusement, the signorina who is beautiful as the angels?" Gustavo spread out his hands. "Valedolmo, signore, is on the frontier. It is what you say garrison città. Many soldiers, many officers, captains, lieutenants with uniforms and swords. They take tea on the terrazzo with the Signor Papa and the Signora Aunt, and most specialmente with the Signorina Constantina. The Signor Papa say he come for his health, but if you ask me, I think maybe he come to marry his daughter." "I see. And yet, Gustavo, American papas are generally not so keen as you might suppose about marrying their daughters to foreign captains and lieutenants, even if they have got uniforms and swords. I shouldn't be surprised if the Signor Papa were just a little nervous over the situation. It seems to me there might be an opening for a likely young fellow speaking the English language, even if he hasn't a uniform and sword. How does he strike you?" "Si, signore." "I'm glad you agree with me. It's now 5 minutes past 4. Do you think the American family will be taking a siesta?" "I do not know, signore." Gustavo's tone was still patient. "And whereabouts is the rose-colored villa with the terrace on the lake?" "It is a quarter of an hour beyond the Porta Sant' Antonio. If the gate is shut you ring the bell, and Giuseppe will open. But the road is very hot and very dusty. It is more cooler to take the path by the lake. Straight to the left for 10 minutes and step over the wall. It is broken in that place and quite easy." "Thank you. That is a wise suggestion. I shall step over the wall by all means." He jumped to his feet and looked about for his hat. "You turn to the left and straight ahead for 10 minutes? Good bye then till dinner. I go in search of the Signorina Constantina, who is beautiful as the angels in paradise, and who lives in a rose-colored villa set in a cypress grove on the shores of Lake Garda. Not a bad setting for romance, is it, Gustavo? Dinner, I believe, is at 7 o'clock?" "Si, signore, at 7. And would you like veal cooked Milanese fashion?" "Nothing would please me more. We have only had veal Milanese fashion 5 times since I came." He waved his hand jauntily and strolled whistling down the arbor that led to the lake. Gustavo looked after him and shook his head. Then he took out the 2 lire piece and rang it on the table. The metal rang true. He shrugged his shoulders and turned back indoors to order the veal. Chapter 2